Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I want to talk to you guys about my current favorite eyeshadow palettes. Now, I was planning on first filming like my single eyeshadow favorites or what I have in my palettes, but I thought, okay, let me talk about eyeshadow palettes first because I have a few favorites that I want to talk about. So here's the deal with me. I have a sick obsession for buying eyeshadow palettes. I don't know, but my weakness has always been eyeshadow. Some people are addicted to buying purses, or some people just love having a bunch of, I don't know, primers, lipsticks. With me, it's mainly eyeshadow palettes that I have the most of, and eyeshadows in general. So yeah, I guess it's a good and a bad thing. Now, the bad thing about being obsessed with eyeshadow palettes is that I have purchased eyeshadow palettes that throughout the years that I didn't end up loving or ended up not even using. So yeah, that's something that is the downside to buying eyeshadow palettes. Now, I want to talk about my favorite personally because I feel like this will prevent other people from making the same mistakes I did. So yeah, and it gives you ideas on what eyeshadow palettes are better, I guess you could say. I feel like now when I buy an eyeshadow palette, I think about it a lot more. I think about, will I use this? Am I going to just buy it because it's being hyped up on YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever? Am I going to be able to create several looks with this palette? Is it something I see myself reaching for? All those things, is it worth the price? All that stuff. So yeah, I feel like now I got it down. Like, I mastered it now. Like, I know what eyeshadows are good for me or good for my freelancing kit, or or even like what eyeshadows to gift to people like on their birthdays or I don't know, like Christmas and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about my personal favorites. Of course, these do change all the time. I do buy other eyeshadow palettes. So I'm going to start off with probably the most popular eyeshadow on Instagram and YouTube. And this is the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia, Beverly Hills. Now, the Modern Renaissance palette I believe is about $40 to $42, and I believe it is permanent as well. Two good things right there. It is permanent. It is something that if you love, you can repurchase. It is not too expensive. It's a good price point, and considering that you get all these beautiful shades. Now, this eyeshadow, I find myself right now reaching for the most. Now, this, I feel like when I look at it, I can see myself creating several eyeshadow looks. One thing that I love about this eyeshadow palette is that it has a lot of matte shades, and it only has a couple shimmer shades. Now, the shimmer shades in this eyeshadow palette, these two, Primavera and Vermeer. Now, these two shades are something that you will reach for to apply for the lid, I feel like a lot of palettes will throw in a random green shimmery shade or a random blue or something, and it's not going to go with every makeup look that you want to do or what you wear. So these colors are very wearable. Like, I feel like Vermeer and Primavera are two eyeshadows that you can wear with anything. And it's like two shades that are going to go with anything you wear. So you also have your like matte mauve shade. You have your red matte shade, your deep red matte shade. You have your true deep brown shade, which is extremely useful. You have your orangey shade that is very popular right now, and your crease shades, your blending shade. This is what I call a real eyeshadow palette, a complete eyeshadow palette that has all the eyeshadows you would need to create several different looks. If you're not someone like me that, hoards eyeshadow palettes, then you would honestly just need something like this that has all these matte shades and a couple shimmer shades. Now, if you don't like warm tones, this is not for you. But if you do, then this is for you. Now, I've created a couple looks here on YouTube with this palette, but if you guys want me to create more looks with this, let me know. And that is another reason why I'm talking about my favorite eyeshadow palettes, because I want you guys to let me know what eyeshadow palette you want to see me use in a video. And so I'm showing you guys like what I'm loving, and what I recommend as well. So again, the Modern Renaissance, I feel like it is very well worth the price. They're very blendable, very pigmented. They look amazing. Her shimmer shades are very metallic, and I love that. So that is my first eyeshadow palette. Now this next eyeshadow palette, I feel like it doesn't get the attention that it should get. I don't know, as much as the LORAC Pro eyeshadow palettes were hyped up, I felt like, okay, so when those came out, the LORAC Pro 1 and then the 2, and I don't even know how many there is now. I bought like 1 and 2, I believe. But then I just stopped buying them because I like them. They're very good quality, but I just was not reaching for them at all. Now, when I bought this one by LORAC, or LORAC, I believe it's pronounced. Now, the one that is my personal favorite is the LORAC Unzipped palette, and this is the one in gold. Now, I believe there's a rose gold one, but I do prefer the one in gold. All these eyeshadows are such high quality eyeshadows. They are, again, super blendable, pigmented, soft, and the pans are huge. And again, this doesn't really get talked about. Now, when you look at this palette, you get all these eyeshadows, and they're eyeshadows that you can actually create looks with. In this palette, they are so pigmented and so just they are very metallic. Here, those two up here, they're very useful eyeshadows, that you can create the eyeshadow look with this. Shades in here are, shades that you can create a whole eye look with. And the only downside to this palette, I would say, is you would need a blending shade. So yeah, I kind of wish that they would have maybe skipped out on that shimmery dark brown and put a blending shade in there. But other than that, this is a really good palette, and honestly the formula is way better than the LORAC Pro ones are. And yeah, this one, like I said, does not get the love that it should. And honestly, I've created out of this eyeshadow palette like 3, 4 looks with this. I could honestly create way more looks with it, but you know, that is what's important when you can create more than one eyeshadow look. Because if you look at a palette and you're like overwhelmed by all the colors, and you know, you feel like nothing goes together, then that's a problem, you know? So yeah, that eyeshadow palette I really like, and I also recommend. Now this next one is the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. Now this one has a lot more cool tone shades. Yeah, this eyeshadow palette is very high quality as well. They're very smooth, very blendable. They're a little bit powdery, but that doesn't really bother me. Now the only thing is that this is an all matte eyeshadow palette, but honestly I like all matte eyeshadow palettes. I do prefer a matte eyeshadow look. So yeah, this is, and even, you know, even if you like shimmers, this is a perfect eyeshadow palette to have to pair with shimmer shades. What I mostly like about the Shade and Light palette is that they put the eyeshadows in groups, or a quad. Yeah, so you get quads in here, and you can, you know, with that create your eyeshadow look. So this is, you know, very worth the price. I feel like this eyeshadow palette by Kat Von D is one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, and I would definitely never get rid of it. And if I were to like run out of this eyeshadow palette, I would repurchase it as well. So yeah, I like that it has your matte black shade, it has your skin tone shades, your transition shades, your outer V colors to deepen up the eyeshadow looks. It has cool tones and warm tones. So that's what I feel like makes it so perfect, and that is why it is so popular, because it is like the perfect balance, you know. I really like this eyeshadow palette, like I said, and again, it's something that is I believe it's about $45, so it's not extremely expensive, but it's not cheap. Yeah, those are my current favorite eyeshadow palettes. I do have more, but I don't want to make this video super long. So if you guys would like to see an eyeshadow look with any of these three palettes, I will do that for you guys. So I'm going to insert some swatches of each palette, and that'll be the end of the video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.